Welcome to HIA Matters, proudly presented by Rapid Building Approvals.
Are you looking to complete your next building project in rapid time? Have your project approved within 24 hours with Rapid Building Approvals. With multiple office locations across Queensland, our local team is always ready. Try your next project with Rapid Building Approvals and experience the difference.
To find out more, visit rapidapprovals.com.au. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of HIA Matters. And today we're at the Ville Resort Casino in Townsville with Jocelyn Martin, the HIA National Managing Director. It's great to have you with us in Townsville. Welcome.
Yes, fantastic to be here. What a beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place. We love it. All right, you took over as Managing Director in August 2023. Congratulations on that. Let's go back a little bit further. Tell us how you became to get into that role and your background with HIA.
Yeah, so I joined HIA in 2014 and I joined as the operations person. So I looked after all the IT, the HR, those kinds of things, the governance. And then I did a stint looking after all HIA's commercial businesses and then moved into the policy area. So I did a bit of a tour of duty.
Yes.
And then when the music stopped, that was the chair that was available. I think that's how I ended up. But yes, a year this month, and I can't really say I'm the new kid anymore.
No more can you say you're the new kid on the block. So in the role, it's obviously got a whole lot of different elements to it. What do you see as some of the key elements of your role at the Housing Industry Association?
Yeah, well, it's a big organisation. We have offices all over the country.
Yes.
And we have about 300 staff, and we also employ about 900 apprentices. So the actual business of HIA is a massive undertaking in the first place. And then, you know, we have this amazing network of members across the country. 20,000 business members and 60,000 people that we represent. And then on top of that, we've got our responsibilities around advocacy and policy development too. So there's a multi-layered kind of level of responsibility.
You obviously have communications with a lot of people on a daily basis. Given the world that we live in right now, what are some of the key issues that your members and people you work with are bringing to the table with you in your role?
Yeah. So one of the things I've tried to get to do in the last 12 months is get around and really listen to members and to listen to their issues. And I'd say the universal issue, the common issue, is just lack of trades. So I think that lack of skilled labour has been the number one common issue. But then as you get sort of into each state and each region, the issues become a little bit different. And so they're bringing, a whole range of things to us to kind of get advice on, to represent the industry on. And so it just varies. What issues here in North Queensland are very different to issues in Tasmania, in Perth, and in Victoria. So it's kind of getting out and really listening to the locals and trying to understand better what it is that is an issue for them in the industry, in the environment that they operate in.
So you talk about the fact that there are the different issues around the state. How hard is that to balance when you have different people coming from different states with different things that need to be managed? I mean, we are one country, but we do have our localised state issues. Is that difficult to sort of balance at times? Because people in Queensland want something that's different to people in South Australia. That must be a bit of a juggle.
Yeah, look, I think in listening to the industry, I guess I feel a lot of empathy for what builders are going through.
Yes.
And, you know, I suppose there's one common thread, and that's the kind of government of the day.
Yes.
So that's probably what binds us together in a way.
Yes.
So we kind of, we're able to kind of look at the issues as how do we actually represent those to government. So it's not a matter of HIA kind of taking them on and trying to solve them.
Yeah.
It's a matter of being that conduit for those issues to government. There are common threads, you know, for the average builder who's not interested in tax or immigration or those big federal issues. Their common problems are around how do I how do I find my trades?
Yes.
How do I meet all the regulation and compliance that I have to meet? And, you know, the introduction of the National Construction Code recently, trying to keep abreast of all the changes. Those are kind of common threads, but at every moment they're all happening at different stages. So it's trying to work through and really be a voice and also listen really closely to what it is that they're telling them. A lot of times they just need that and need to know that we're actually kind of listening. We also provide that network for other builders, and they listen to each other, right?
Yes.
You know, because it's actually quite an isolated profession in a lot of ways. Sometimes, you know, they're very small businesses. Well, I don't know if they're doing the right thing unless they talk to each other.
Yes, correct.
And so that's where we come in too, I think.
You do facilitate that very well. I want to ask you about regulation because it's one issue that I hear so many times. Regulations changing all the time. Red tape, the amount of things that are happening that take so long to filter down, and then it's not filtered down properly because it comes from government levels who just don't understand the industry. How frustrating is it for you leading an organisation to have this absolute monster level of regulation forced upon you with sometimes hardly any background to the regulation? It just makes your business so much harder to do.
Yeah, well, I think we sit back and work out that at the federal level, we pretty much deal with every single government department as something to do with housing. And of course, it's a very popular topic, and so every single government department feels like they need to contribute something, which inevitably means that they actually contribute red tape, right? Because that's what governments are really good at doing. So that happens at the federal level, and then within each state you've got that whole bureaucracy
multiplied again,
and then local councils potentially as the two. So and in their, I suppose, desire to kind of improve, they're actually creating more bureaucracy, and so it's very difficult for us to kind of navigate that all the time. Creates cost and it creates delays. So you get pockets of really good local councils and things run reasonably smoothly, but that layer upon layer upon layer of things that are just kind of coming down, and in the end that cost is only being borne by builders.
Yes.
There's a lot of sense, oh, you builders, you just pass that cost on. It's like there's a lot of costs that cannot really be passed on to a consumer. And I think, and the delay, the time frame, the ability to kind of, you know, improve their productivity is also affected. So where you could build 2 houses, now you can probably only build 1.5 houses. So it just slows everything down as well.
Are you finding government is being more receptive to your concerns when it comes to this amount of regulation that are there, or do you sometimes feel they just sort of pushing you away, going, yeah, we're having a listen, but they're not really doing anything about it?
I think there's I think when the federal Labor government came to power, there was a lot of desire to, well, they set a target of 1.2 million homes, and there was a lot of desire to kind of try and figure out how to improve the situation. As time's gone on, I think they've been a victim of their own bureaucracy, quite frankly. So I think individually they all say the right thing. I think they're keen to listen, they're keen to understand, but I think they've actually just, they just can't bring it all together. They don't even talk to each other half the time.
Well, that's a big problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a big problem. And so we end up having to, you know, almost play that conduit between government departments. At the same time, in a lot of states and federally, the opposition have been missing in action. So you don't really even have that opposing voice that kind of keeps things in check. So as we go into a federal election, I guess we're really keen to kind of talk a lot about that red tape. It's tricky because a lot of people kind of glaze over at that topic. But try and really help the consumer understand how much cost that is actually placing on their new home.
All right, I want to ask you also about regional builders, because as we've discussed in episodes before, sometimes the regional builders feel that they're another kind of step away, you know, they're outside of the capital city. What's your message to regional builders as far as HIA goes about listening to their concerns and going into bat for them?
Well, when I came into the role, the first thing I did was kind of develop a we put together a strategic plan for HIA, and the top line for that was our community,
Yes.
which was, you know, and at the heart of that was our members, all members. And the regional members are really integral to that.
Yes.
I mean, first of all, up here, there's a lot of amazing work that happens. You've got the landscape for it.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, we had a lot of wonderful homes come out of there, and so a lot of creative and great work. It is true sometimes that regional builders feel like, and I say that's probably regional people, you know, across the board, feel like they don't necessarily get the voice. And that's why myself and National President Debbie Johnson have been getting around as much as we can to kind of really listen to those you know, regional voices. We've been up to the Northern Territory a couple of times. We've been here into Tasmania, as much as we have been to Sydney and Melbourne, and really trying to capture and understand what those issues are.
Yeah.
It's really important to us.
One of the things we talk about, obviously, with cost of living, people, you know, are a little bit wary about where they put their money. For someone who's not a member of HIA, given we are in a cost of living, you know, time, what do you say to them as to why they should take some of that money and invest it and become a member with HIA?
So I think some years ago I went to the ACT regional 50th celebration, and they did a little bit of a panel with members who had been members for a long time.
Yeah.
And every single one of them had a story about how HIA had helped with their business.
Yes.
And that's what they really remembered. You know, it's a risk mitigation, and it's almost like an insurance. Well, that's probably a dirty word. It's not going to actually but it is that, because, you know, it's someone you can call and say, am I doing the right thing? It's someone that you can, an ear that you can talk to when you might have an issue with your customer.
Yeah.
It's a network, and it's a source of education, and also a source of celebration. You know, if you are doing great work, we're recognising that. So I think, you know, a lot of those stories about those members that have had that experience are really important to understand, because you know, they're the moments that people go, yes, that was really worth it. And you know, in terms of the cost of living, there's a lot of also great savings that can be made. The Toyota, for a start.
Yes.
That people really like. You know, so there's those kinds of things too.
All right. Well, you've thrown yourself under a bus because you did bring up the word insurance. Where does HIA sit in the discussion on insurance? It is a key discussion here in North Queensland in particular, and in many parts of the country.
Yeah.
It's one of those discussions that has a whole long distance to go on it. What sort of advocacy are you doing in that insurance sector?
Yeah, so it's so first of all, HIA has a joint venture with Aon and runs HIA Insurance Services.
Yep.
And I think that part of the benefit of being in the tent, so to speak, is that we can actually build a product that is, and service around being more suitable to the issues of our members. It's a minefield in insurance. You know, you take Victoria, where we've had a couple of insolvencies, spectacular insolvencies.
Yeah.
Builders now are having to really ramp up some of their business evidence that they need to show in order to keep their quotas up and to keep their productivity going. So one of the biggest things I think for us is to try and work with those bodies, to the government bodies, to try and say, you know, like, you don't have to actually go and sell your firstborn to actually provide this a level of assurity that they can build. Unfortunately, the way insurance works is there's all these algorithms and underwriters and a whole chain of people who have, by virtue of our peaks and troughs around home builder, I think largely, have actually classified our industry as a bit more risky than it should be.
Yeah.
So it's up to us, I suppose, to bring that confidence back into the industry too. We believe that our insolvency issues have certainly dropped off as an industry, and that...
Well, I suppose that was going to be expected after COVID, that we would see a level of that, but it's good we're heading in the right direction.
We are heading in the right direction, and you know, there are green shoots everywhere as well. You know, we've come off a fairly low base in terms of activity activity, but in Queensland in particular, we are seeing the signs that we're improving, that the industry is improving. And so there's a lot to be more confident about.
Yeah, confidence is good. All right. A year in the job, you're not the new kid on the block anymore. You said when you started in the role, your objectives were to be brave, take risks and make incremental changes. How do you think you're going? Give yourself a little critique.
Well, there's two levels of bravery, I guess. There's no first bravery, which is doing things like this,
Yes.
which is, is always out of everybody's comfort zone, I guess. But also, making some behind the scenes changes within HIA. But the biggest important thing that I wanted to try and do was kind of can reconnect with our members. I think what happened during COVID, and maybe it's just an era thing too, was this idea that everybody kind of wanted to connect with us in a digital sense.
Yes.
But our members aren't like that.
No.
They're hands-on people.
Yeah.
They want human connection.
Well, it's what they do, isn't it?
To talk to people.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're not sitting in front of a computer day in, day out. So I think kind of reconnecting has been something that has really been important. I'm not sure that many people would say I've taken too many dangerous risks, but probably on a personal level sometimes. But no, not. We will be 80 years old next year.
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
amazing.
big celebration for us, and that's testimony to all the people that have gone before me and the careful stewardship that this organisation has been run under.
Yeah.
And I would never want to impact that. But I do think that we have a bit more of a role to be out there more, to be in front of the media more, to represent and to be a bit bolder.
Yes.
And I think that's potentially where an era thing, and also the fact that housing is so important at the moment to the whole country, that really we've got to be in that mix, really talking about what our...
Well, there's very rarely a day that goes by where it's not part of the discussion in some level.
Yes.
We are in an amazing community here where we see the future is quite bold with all of the critical mining and minerals that are going on out the west, the Copper String project. There are discussions about tens of thousands of new people coming into our region. The only way that they can come into our region is with a strong housing sector to build the houses for these people to live in, to take those projects further.
That's right. So, the biggest capacity we would have here is around skilled labour.
Yeah.
I was reading on the way up here that to become a bricklayer now, there's no TAFE course in Townsville. I think that bricklayers now have to go and train in Cairns, which they're not going to do, right?
No.
So already one trade is becoming really, really hard to find. It's those kind of things that are going to impact the attractiveness of someone wanting to come into the sector.
Yeah.
So that becomes really important. I think also the government are exploring things like modular construction and things that they thought might be a bit more affordable.
Yes.
The tyranny of distance is a problem here.
Yeah, we're a long way away.
And so working out how to supply materials to this region in a cost-effective way is also something. But locally, I think paving the way for builders to get quicker approvals.
Yes.
And to look at modular components for building. As opposed to completed modular homes, I think is something that we probably as an industry need to focus our attention on a lot more too, because that will help with the labour shortages and it will help with the speed at which we can build as well.
Well, congratulations on what you've done so far. I'm sure there is plenty of great work still to come. And enjoy your few days here in Townsville and North Queensland, chatting with your members and, of course, the construction industry across North Queensland. Thank you, Jocelyn, for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed HIA Matters, our fabulous podcast for you in the construction industry and members of the HIA. And we look forward to you joining us again on another edition of HIA Matters.
Are you looking to complete your next building project in rapid time? Have your project approved within 24 hours with rapid building approvals. With multiple office locations across Queensland, our local team is always ready. Try your next project with rapid building approvals and experience the difference.
To find out more, visit rapidapprovals.com.au. HIA Matters, proudly produced by the HIA. You're in good hands and sponsored by Rapid Building Approvals.